afternoon, family. I know this is not our usual time, but things happen and we have to make adjustments. This is Black Watch with Elliott McCants, and we hanging out with Uncle Mick for a little bit today. I wanted to kind of focus a little bit on a couple of different cultural things. One, um, we talked about before the Ten Commandments and where they come from, and the 42 admonitions of Ma'at, and where the Ten Commandments come from there. But we won't have those slides to be able to show you because something happened in the transmission of the mail to get them here. So we're going to take a little look at it and then we'll come back. And I want you all to really be able to see where the Ten Commandments come from and how, um, even in the story of Moses and how he got them, right? That they actually come from ancient Kemet. And these are the rules and laws that people of that society, of that culture, not a society, because this is a society, not a culture, of that culture had to abide by them in order to keep them in balance. And especially if you want to be in balance with your higher self, so that when you left here and you went on to the uh, heavenly realms, you went through a process that weighed your deeds and weighed who you are, right? So the Ten Commandments are, of course, just short. So if we just really kind of sort of remember the story that Moses went up to the mountain and was supposed to talk to God in a couple different ways, flame, burning bush, whatever. I don't remember all the stories because I'm not a Bible scholar. But when he comes down, he has these tablets. And apparently he trips over a rock, according to the story. This is the story in the book that everybody loves, the best-selling book in the world. He trips over a rock and he drops some of the tablets, and they break. And in that happening, then what happens is he's got these other two tablets left, which meant that the other 32 laws that he actually has coming from ancient Kemet, the admonitions of Ma'at, are laid broken on the ground, and they have to pick them up and put the tablets and the broken pieces inside a ark, or what they call the Ark of the Covenant, right? So the Ark of the Covenant was created, according to the story, in order to be able to put these broken pieces in, because these were considered to be the Word of God. But the Ten Commandments that he brings down and he gives to the people as the law from God, he still has. So, what would be the logic of having to build an ark, to put the other remaining pieces in, if there weren't more laws than the 10 that he gave the people? Just want to know what your 2 plus 2 is. Just, you know. So now, the admonitions of Ma'at say something completely different about than the law, the Ten Commandment laws do. It is a much deeper, much longer, much more expressive um, set of rules that a person has to go when they transition and they leave this earthly realm and they get ready to go to um, the next level of life. They have to go and say what they have not done in life. I have not coveted another man's wife. I've not coveted another woman's husband. I have not defiled myself in any way. I have not taken more than I was supposed to. I've not eaten more than I was supposed to. I've not, and there are 42 different laws that you have to say at, at the wing of the heart. So if you want to, the papyrus of Ani, I know we appreciate you, but we just had a family emergency, so the family emergency caused us to hold off till Tuesday. And if I had a way to get in touch with you, I would have told you. So let me apologize for not letting you know uh, that we didn't have session on Tuesday or cast on Tuesday. Thank you. We appreciate it. Alhamdulillah. Yes, ma'am. We appreciate it. So now, at the weighing of the heart, because the heart is considered to be the center of the consciousness, right? Your deeds, whether you got a good heart or a bad heart, how you treat people, you have to go and cite from your mouth the 42 admonitions of my aunt. And as long as your heart doesn't weigh less than the ostrich feather, and the ostrich feather is very, very light, and you can truly say you have not done these things, then you can continue your journey and move forward into the halls of Amenta, which now you have these 12 different trials that you have to go to in order to get to the solar boat to take you to heaven. But if your heart weighs less, right, when you've done some of these deeds, you broke them, segment, the lion-headed goddess is supposed to eat your heart. And you have to come back, start all over again until you get you don't break into these admonitions. Now, you have some people that treat to take those and say they were called negative confessions. E.A. Wallace Budge says that first, and he calls them a negative confessions of mine. They weren't negative confessions. They were saying what I have not done. That is not a negative confession. That's really taking a look at your life and saying, I haven't done these things. I didn't take from the temple. I didn't murder anybody. I didn't kill an animal on purpose. So in this culture that gave everything to the rest of the world, you only took 10 laws that you could abide by. Because if we follow the story, the so-called Israelis, so-called, or Israelites, were part of the kingdom of ancient Egypt. It's in your Bible in Genesis. I know it's got to be in Genesis, right? So if they're wandering in the desert and Moses was the leader, but Aaron was a spokesperson of the people, to the people and of the people, the laws then, because Moses is a priest in the temple of On, will come from ancient Kemet. But he also may have been very clear that the people weren't going to follow them. And this is where, of course, Judaism gets its rule from, right? So they don't even believe in the same thing that most so-called Christians do. That's number one. They only believe in the first 5 books of the Bible. After that, everything else is whatever else. They don't believe in everything else. First 5 books, that's it. They call it either the Torah or the Talmud. Good evening, man. We're glad y'all are here. So if they don't believe in it, then how did we get to believe in it the way that we do? And that's all of it. Now, this may make some of you all a little bit upset, but in 1441, Pope Nicholas the First, I want to say, wrote a papal bull that said because African people didn't believe like they felt that they should believe, that it was okay to enslave them and turn them into Christians. Even Jesus the Christ, and I said it the way it's supposed to be said, actually Yeshua, the Christo or the Christ, didn't know what Christianity was because it wasn't created until after his so-called death. So, what is Christianity supposed to be? If it wasn't created while he was here, if he was here. And even before that, we can talk about the slave trade that took place with Islam and how Islam took people from the continent as well and con- turned them, converted them into Islam because of the same viewpoint and for a much longer time.
Mm.
Now, that brings us back to modern times because what we're talking about is how do we move from where we are to where we need to be. Well, we also have to understand how we got there. Part of how we got there was what happened with us during the time that we were here on the plantation and we were forced to become something else because we were turned into something else. And I promise the next time we have the opportunity, we're going to make sure that we have those 42 admonitions of my and um, 10 commandments because somewhere in transmission they didn't make it here so that we can see that. So, in turning people from who they are and who they were into something else, there was a man, whether he lived or not, who had some ideology that said that if you pit people against each other, instead of having to constantly kill people that didn't follow what you needed them to follow, then here's some things that we can put in place in order to make them stay alive, number one, for our purposes, but number two, we're going to turn them into something else so that they begin to hate each other and internalize the hate that we have for them. So I know there's a lot of people who are scholars or want to be scholars that'll say, well, this particular person never existed. And I don't care nothing about arguing that point. But the point is that the system exists. And that's the whole point of the exercise. If we understand the system and what the system does and how the system is doing the things that it's doing, then we understand that the ideology and the philosophy that this man wrote, and I believe was 1712 or whatever when he came over here, according to the story, um, that it still exists to this day. Now, I'm going to say this again. We are thankful and grateful to our women that we love dearly and and desire for them to continue. You're absolutely right. There's still slavery is still being practiced in many Muslim countries. You're right, and I understand that we're talking to some of my brothers from the continent, my sisters from the continent. It's practiced differently there than it is even in Saudi Arabia and in Mecca. Because if you really want to go to a place, if you go to Senegal and go to Touba, go there to that mosque. That mosque is bigger than the one over in Saudi Arabia. So having had an opportunity to go there one time and worship with my family from there was I was not only thoroughly impressed, which is hard, but also very you could feel God there because I know that many continental Africans practice Islam different than what is practiced by other sects of Islam. Um, but what was I saying? Oh, so this system that got put in place was to pit the old against the young, tall against the short, the light against the dark, this the person against that person. You got a longer hand than they do, and all this other stuff. So this whole idea creates this jealousy and envy inside of our inside of our society. I don't want to say system, inside of our society. And so we keep fighting each other for nothing, right? We keep fighting for, well, I can read more than you. Well, I can do this more than you did. Well, I'm taller than you are. Well, I'm darker than you are. Well, you thicker than she is. And all this other insanity.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue is that we won't pay attention to it because we're so much in survival mode that we're not paying attention to the system and how we can get out of survival mode, become a community, and then take care of ourselves and take care of each other. And that's part of the problem. So this man created this idea back in the 1700s and say instead of you hanging your slaves and killing them all the time and they're trying to run away, you start to pit them up against each other. And in the letters to Willie Lynch, he lays out a plan. He says if you implement this plan for over 300 years, they'll they'll keep themselves in uh in line for you. Okay, yep. So he came over here, according to this speech was delivered in 1770, in Lynchburg, Virginia. So there's a city here in Virginia that's named after this man. And yet people want to argue that it doesn't exist. Well, here's the whole here's the whole speech.
And this one right here. Oh.
No, we can go down. And it's interesting that people want to dismiss it without paying attention to the system in which is implemented in. Right now, and I love this. African women in America are the largest growing population of people that are going to get higher education. That's great. That's absolutely wonderful. But at the end of the day, what does that mean for the family? I don't know how much it means for the family because I can't share your education. You're going to use that for what you need to use it for.
Mm.
And if we're working together as a unit, then your education should benefit the household, right? Yeah. Okay. There's more. Now, I'm gonna say this again, and this is for women, or women, African women in America. If you are starting a business, go get the money. Goldman Sachs has a pool of $10 billion that they're willing to give African and American and other minority women who are and operate operate a business. But on a dollar to a dime, as the old folks would say, I'm willing to bet that you couldn't go in there with your partner that being a man, or if they know that you have somebody that you're getting a man, that you have a man working with you, there's stipulation that says you can't you won't get the money if you got somebody working with you as a man. Because that's the division they want to continue to have in our families, that our all parties have to see. Yeah, baby, go ahead on and get 100 mil or get 10 mil or whatever. But don't get 10 mil and sit there and go like, where's my money? And even though you may have done all of the legwork and helped her do all the legwork, because you had to go in there and sign up for the money, you figure it's yours because they convince you that it's you. Instead of you understanding that if we come and do this together, what we can do. I've seen it happen multiple times. Let me see. Let's go down here. Oh, right there. That's the beginning right here. All right. So now, right at the very beginning, where he says there's the full text right here. No, well, even if he says alleged, because what they're talking about is the fact that he may not have existed. Who cares if he did not exist or not? That doesn't matter. The system does. The system exists. The fact that we walk around here and claim who does she think he is, who does he think he is, shows that the system exists. The fact that we are disrespectful towards each other and don't even know each other shows that the system exists. The mere fact that probably even now that if a man goes to get some assistance because he may have fallen on hard times and he'll get denied, but if a woman falls on hard times, she can go to the Department of Human Health and Services and get some assistance, housing and all, but he better not show up. The man that helped her with the children, helped her bring the children here, better not shows that the system exists. The mere fact that there's $10 billion at a company that is only there for black women and minority women shows that the system exists. The mere fact that black men, young black men, are not pushed to be as successful as young black women educationally so that there's parity on both sides shows you that the system exists. You know, as an educator, I see it all the time.
Mm.
So he says, "Greeting, gentlemen, I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year of our Lord 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I'm here to help you solve some of your problems with slaves. Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in the West Indies, where I've experimented with some of the newest and still oldest methods of control of slaves. Now, that system has not changed, it's not going anywhere. I don't care if we sit here and argue that he didn't exist. The system does. Whether it was through him or whether it's a group of people that made it up or whatever, it still exists. It's still here. How do we solve it? Everybody that, if you're listening and you're part of our family, of our viewership family, and hopefully we'll continue to grow. I know we will. I ain't gonna say hopefully. I know we'll grow. This needs to be in your house. You need to read it. You need to understand it, read it, digest it, teach it to your children. Teach it to people that, and there are gonna be some people don't listen. You know why? Because they still in their mind, they still enslaved. Next, he says, ancient Rome would envy us if my program were implemented. As our boat sails south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, King James, whose version of the Bible we cherish, wrote and translated from a language that they have no clue about. But anyway, we'll get to that later on. I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of wood as crosses for standing human bodies along its highways in great numbers, you are here using a tree and rope on occasion. I caught a whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple miles back. You're not only losing a valuable stock by hanging, you are also having us uprisings. Slaves are running away, and your crops are sometimes left in the field too long for maximum profit. You suffer occasional fires, your animals are killed. So that told you right there that we were fighting back in some way. So what did they try and do? What have they done? Was they put us another system in place in order to keep those uprisings from happening. But you're never going to, you can never kill the seed of freedom. All day long. You're never going to kill the seed of freedom. So what does he say? I've outlined a number of differences to use amongst them. House, remember what Malcolm said. You got you got two different slaves. You got the house slave and the field slave. So use that. Age. You hear that even now. Well, we walk around somewhere and a young person, well, I just had that happen coming up here. Young man standing in the lobby downstairs. He didn't even look at me to speak. I spoke to him. But there was a time back in not too long ago, the young person they saw elder, they would speak just because. Not I had to speak first. And there was a woman leaving her office that looked at me like, oh, I'm afraid. For what? What are you afraid of? Because this is the fear that the larger society here has put on us as a smaller society.
Mm-hmm.
All done through using this methodology, this ideology. So he says age, color, intelligence, size, sex, size of the plantation, status of the plantation, attitude of owners, whether they lived as like a slave in the valley, on the hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair, coarse hair. So any little thing psychologically was used to bind us into slavery. Instead of saying, and there was a point in time in the 60s that I'm not saying we didn't have conflicts, but in the 60s it was hey brother, hey sister. Now to a small degree, it's hey king, hey queen. But for the most part, excuse me, may I say a couple of words that may not, hopefully we won't ruffle no feathers.
Mm.
Can I say two words?
Go ahead.
Okay. Now it's hey nigga, hey bitch. Are you serious? And we use that term, oh yeah, that's endearing. No, the hell it's not. No, it's not.
Mm.
It's caused us a lot of pain. And women, y'all love that. Oh, yeah, I'm a bad bitch. I'm a boss bitch. What? But none of that is helping your family. None of that is helping raise your family up about of where it's at to a higher level than what it is.
Mm.
Because once we really start to break this ideology down, it's women. It was focused on the women. The system's focused on the women. It's cool. Go to school. Get all the education, but come back and help. Come back and be a partner to the man that's or men or family that you have. Oh, I like that. I'm gonna read that one paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The black slave, after receiving this indoctrination, propaganda,
Mm.
okay, shall carry on and become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands.
Mm.
Don't forget that you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male, and the young black male versus the old against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus the light-skinned slave, and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slave. You must use the female versus the male, and the male versus the female. Goldman Sachs
Mm.
has $10 billion for black women who own or head businesses and minority women who own and or head businesses. Nothing for black men. And I promise you, you better not dare let them know that you got somebody as a black man that you're working with, or you won't receive another bit of funding. And I don't know, I haven't even looked at what the proposals could be. But I'm willing to bet that's how they operate. If they tell you off the rip that this is for black women and black women business owners and other minority women, they got to throw the other minority women in there. But they also gonna put in the stipulation, whether it's known or unknown, whether it's said aloud, that you better not let no black man have no part of this money in any way, shape, or form. And because of the unconsciousness that many of our women have about what this is,
Mm-hmm.
she'll do it.
Mm.
She'll do it. Now, prove me wrong. I went and got this money. I'm sitting over here with the big boys who gave me this money, or big girls, because typically if it's a woman, it's going to be another woman sitting in front of her presenting this money and signing off on making sure or whatever. And guess what? You better not do.
Mm.
It'll be unsaid, but as a woman, you'll pick it up. You're not going to go in there and be revolutionary conscious and say, I'm not going to say nothing, but I'm going to come back here and take care of and have my staff there of men or you got some men on my
Right.
staff, you're not gonna do that. Because number one, you're gonna side with the other woman, and she's probably gonna be a white woman. That's number one. And number two, what you're gonna do is now all of a sudden I have a pool of money. Not only can I fix my stuff, but if I got children, I can fix their stuff. But you're not gonna talk about fixing some a man stuff that might be on your staff. You bet not. Not according to them. And I have no clue what their requirements are. But I'm willing to bet because of this and because of the system, I bet I'm right. If their part of their requirements is for black women and black women ownership of businesses, I'm willing to bet dollar to a dime, as old folks say, that you bet not think about bringing a man in there with you as a partner to sit there, even if he's a financial advisor and whatever, to sit there and talk with them about what they're gonna do. I bet you won't get that money. I bet you won't get that money. I bet you that you put your application in there, you go in there with a man, next thing you know, it's in the circle file. You don't even see it. Oh well, you didn't meet our uh, standards for what we had. Yeah, because you brought a man in there with you. Now, if you take a black woman in there that's a CPA or whatever to listen, oh, it's cool. But that's the psychological trick. That's the trick in the head. Where was I at? Okay. You must use the female versus the male and the male versus the female. And they've done that. They've done that. They've done that by keeping our men out of the house when women would needed some help. And they would go to the state. Your real husband, you could be mad, I don't care. Go to the state. He can't, no man can show up. It was very blatant in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Go back and look at the movie Claudine, which came out in 1968 with Diane Carroll and James Earl Jones, where he was willing to come in and step in and help her raise a son by someone else, told her to get off the system, and she didn't want to because it was free. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks. But it's necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust us only. What that sound like? And I know people want to laugh because folks thought that they was going to get black jobs after the this presidential election, and everybody teasing all the brothers that was Republican and fighting for that. Excuse me, and none of them got an opportunity to be on the cabinet. Once again, what did Dr. John Henry Clark say? We have no friends. If I got a loaf of bread, he got a loaf of bread. If I got a chicken, he got a chicken. If I got a bag of peas, you got a bag of peas. That's it. Because we don't have no friends. Everybody is going to whatever because they consider us to be the lowest on the totem pole. But we built the greatest structures in the world. I don't care nothing about, oh, well, we built this country. No, we didn't. We were forced to. It's a different thing when we built the pyramids and we built all of those structures along the Nile. We did it out of cultural respect for who we were and our cultural identity, not under duress and destitution and your life. And you did it for free. We didn't do it for free at home. At home, we built those institutions, and the people who built it get paid. Here, what did you get paid? What you get paid? We talking about reparations. What are they? And I just had this overheard a discussion, or actually I was told about a discussion about somebody who told another person when that whole idea came out, and one person was white and the other person was black, that your reparations is the fact that you're free. You're free. That's all. And you should have access to everything that we have access to. This is a white woman, and I was told about it, and I wanted to. They wouldn't let me find out who it was, so I can, inflame the discussion because that's exactly what I was going to do. So find this online somewhere, put it in your household, read it. Not only examine yourself, but others around you. And I'm gonna say this again. There may be people that are going, man, I don't want to hear that. That's cool. Those you already know are still mentally still enslaved. But if you start to examine yourself, then you'll change your behavior towards not only yourself, but you'll change your behavior toward your children. You'll change your behavior towards others. And they'll see you as a whole person because then you get an opportunity to see where I'm I have these things. Like I said, I was just here when we start before we started the show. There's a young man downstairs, and the first thing that we do, and I noticed this because I read this 1,000 years ago, that when I walked in, he turned his head immediately and looked away. We don't make eye contact with each other anymore. We don't talk to anybody each other anymore. We don't do any of those things. And people are gonna be super nice now because it's Christmas time and everybody, want Jesus to come or whatever you thinking about. But any other time, this time of Easter, we're gonna be the sweetest, everybody. But where do you go places and a brother can't look at another brother in the eye, or a brother can't look at a sister look at a brother, and minimally you speak. Hey brother, how you doing? How you doing today, big bro? Oh, I'm all right, man. I'm good. Hey sister, how you doing? Oh, what do you want? Huh? How about you? I'm just speaking. Not difficult. But what do? We look away from each other. We walk the other way. This kid couldn't have been no more than 12 or 13. First thing he did was he looked away. I spoke on purpose, knowing that he was going to do that. He spoke back, but then he dropped his head. Really? Anyway, let's look at the last part. Gentlemen, these kids are, if you are your keys to control, use them. Have your wives and children use them. Never miss an opportunity. If used intensely for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful. Thank you. Now, there's this argument about who he was, who cares. But the divide and conquer rule, that happens. Happen all the time. Happen on the plantation. So, oh yeah, the house slaves get treated better than the field slave. That's divide and conquer. Not knowing that some of the house slaves was poisoning the people on the inside, grinding up glass, putting it in their food, putting poison that they got to kill the mice and rats in the food. Sometimes using herbs outside in the that they would get from the garden or out in the field that they knew would make somebody sick and poison or death slowly over time.
Mm.
And meanwhile, while we're outside, we're breaking tools, cutting tools, killing animals, planning to run away all the time. There was one sister who was so good at getting time off work, so to speak, that she would stick her hand in the beehive in order to get her hand stung so she didn't have to work.
Mm.
She did it for years. So this idea of always desiring to be free is there in us. It always has been in us. But there's a system here that wants us to not be free and be beholden onto something that we don't fit in. Now, if we are making the decision, and most of us have, that we're going to stay here in this country, then what's the best way that we can make the best of it? First of all, we better become family because we better understand that we have no friends. And I'm going to say this again about people with school age children. You better be checking on your call, email, text, whatever. Check with your teachers and make sure that you know what's going on with your children. I think that's it, big bro.
Yes,
Is that all of it?
mm-mm.
Oh, there's more. Okay, here we go. There's a divide and conquer.
Oh, that's probably the same one.
Yeah, it's the same one.
I got you. Let me put you back in the studio.
Okay.
Come up off of this. Okay, there we go.
Okay. Oh boy, I missed a lot. There we go. All right, Mr. Chris. Okay, can you scroll back up a little bit and see what else we had, what we missed?
I don't know why they ain't sent out a notification.
Okay, well that's all right. We apologize. We'll be back on time. We'll be back Sunday, right?
Sunday, yeah,
Okay,
Sunday.
we'll be back on time.
I was
Sunday.
just out of town.
Huh?
I was just out of town.
Yeah.
But we good. We
Okay.
good.
Yeah, we just had a little family situation. No, it's all right. We good though. All right. So okay. So knowing all of these things, then what's the correction? The correction has to start inside the family. The correction has to start that if you get a copy of this letter and it's longer than what we get, what that is, it's much longer than that because I have to look on my bookshelf to see if I can pull that up. That's a short version. The version he had that the whole letter is in is a much longer version. But even if we use the short version, right? What do we do inside our families? First of all, you got to see what stuff that you do that you do with yourself, right? As a teacher, it's my job to love each student that I have, even though each one of them are differently, but the same. And I had to ask myself last year, I had a young lady, and I was like, what in the world about this girl is bugging me? What makes her get on my nerves? And once I understood that it was me, she still acted the same way. That wasn't going to change. But I understood that I had to love her a little differently than I love somebody, the girl that sat next to her. And then she eventually changed. And that's it. Now, love ain't easy and love ain't soft and bunny rabbits and it ain't good. It ain't cushy and all that other stuff. Sometimes love is very hard, right? Just like if you have to chastise your child, that ain't easy. If you have to lay hands on your child, that ain't easy either. Give them a swat or two, that's hard because we love our children. But at the same time, we have to understand at the end of the day that we have no friends. We have no friends. And if we understand that we have no friends, then that forces us to say, you know what? I have to find friends among people that think like me. Not everybody's gonna think like you. That's cool too. That's cool. Not a problem. But once you start to disseminate some information and become a seed, and then the tree grows, then eventually, we'll grow out of it. What did he say? If you do it for a year consistently for every little thing, and you condition them that we're your God in every instance, you never miss, and you create distrust amongst them. That's what we're living in now. We're living in distrust right now. That's the reason why it's okay for a young man who can not even think it's okay to speak to me. You don't have to know me, just speak. I'm not going to do anything to you. I'm not going to let nothing happen to you. But sometimes, because of this sickness that we gained and garnered because of our proximity to another society that is not like who we are and where we come from, then he's not going, oh, I'm going to be a predator to him or her or whatever. But that was what was rooted in us and grown in us when we were changed from Africans to niggas. Right? That happened. Jezebels and this and that and that. We become that. We become, and once we talked about this before, this is an ancient Kemet where Amenhotep III is one side is Set and the other side is Heru. We become more of our lower self than we have our higher self. We don't even know what our higher self is. We look at our higher self, well, that's God out there after I've done all of this stuff. No, that's God in you first.
Right.
But we not gonna preach that. No, ain't nobody gonna talk about that. Because then you set the people free. But again, we understand two things. Number one, take that letter, get a copy of it. Everybody can get a copy of it. Get a copy of it, find a book, whatever. It's a little pamphlet, probably less than 50 pages long. The Letters of Willie Lynch. Mine is gold and red. And look at the system in which we live under, and look at your part in the system. That's my brother. That's my sister. And I'll tell anybody, I'm one of those people that if I meet you and nothing and stuff ain't right, that's you. That ain't me.
Right.
When Uncle Mick and I met the first time, this my brother off the rip. This big brother. That's it. That's it. Period. Now, if something happens, that ain't me. And I'm gonna tell you, because I'm gonna be consistent. I'm clear that he's going to be consistent. If something happens, hey man, something come up, or hey, I need to talk to you, big bro. I got something I need to get something off my chest, get some clarity about some stuff. Other people not like that because of their ego. That's the lower self. That's the lower self. And as long as we stay in our lower self, we'll be controlled by trinkets and shiny things that mean absolutely nothing. And those are useless and momentary trinkets of things that don't build a bond that lasts for anything. I got friends that I don't even call them friends. It's my brother. It's more than that. If war start, I already know who got my back. When? Sorry, not if. But we have to make sure you're absolutely right. We are um, a brand new people psychologically because we bought into every piece of propaganda that they put in front of us from 1915 Birth of a Nation to MTV Cribs and all this other stuff. And you see all of this, even the new stuff, New Housewives of Basketball, Atlanta, all that insanity. Nobody lives that way. But yet they put that in front of them and you put that in front of people, and instead of you talking about something that has some foundation, we're talking about something that's shaky. That stuff is shaky and fleeting. That stuff lasts on TV for what? Because y'all watch that stuff. Sorry, I'm gonna say something different. Y'all watch that. I don't watch that stuff. That man, that's absolutely meaningless to me. I don't know none of them women. They're not part of my lives. None of them people mean anything to me. But yet, to you all or others, sorry, that watch it, that value it, they mean everything to you because it's the fantasy life you live in your head through them. It's like we live a fantasy life. Oh, the white picket fence and this. Man, my fence is black. Okay, my fence is black. Period. That's it. And and you're right. It is psychological, but it's easy once you look in the mirror. If I'm mad at you because you got a new car, man, that's me. That's my ego. I'm tripping. For what? But we all don't. We all don't. And we're not teaching it. And then, of course, we're allowing other people to teach our children. And you're not checking them? That's insanity. I'm checking their homework. I remember one of my boys, man, he had talked about getting a Bentley for years. Wanted a Bentley. Been talking about it for years and years and years. I see his car and I'm like, man, sweet. That's a Bentley. What are you doing? You got a Bentley around here. Right. I pull up beside it. I check it out. And so his boy that was sitting on, because he was on the driver's side on the outside lane. I was on the inside lane by the curb. Mm-hmm. And I look at it and I look in the car. And his boy looked at me like, he cussed me out like, who is this? And I was like, I yelled at my man. Hey, man, that's a nice car. He leaned over. He was like, hey, my man. And I was like, hey, man, you did what you said you was gonna do. I'm proud of you, bro. You did. You said you wanted to get a Bentley. You went and sacrificed. You worked overtime and this and that and other. You got a Bentley, and man, that's beautiful. I'm so proud of you, bro. And so his boy, he cut into his boy because, man, that's my guy. I mean, that was the first one telling him about this car. He told me what to do to get it. I said, man, put a picture up and say you want to get it. And every time you put money in the jar. Man, this dude had jars of money out of his house, right? But he went and cashed in to go get this car. That's what he supposed to do. Because that's what he wanted. So psychologically, he changed that. Now, when I got out, we pulled over the restaurant and I met McDonald's, as a matter of fact, on Door Highway. We pulled up in there and his boy get out. His boy looking at me all distrustful. You don't even know me, man. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So then after he and I started talking, then the other young man started to get in. And he was late 40s, both of them, right? So I'm in my early 50s when this happened. So it's a few years ago, right? He started then. I'm like, okay, so before you even started talking about some other stuff, let me explain something to you. If I was jealous of a person that was jealous or envious or whatever, first and foremost, I would have never yelled over there and told them, nice, calm, proud of you. Right. I said, so you just immediately got all crazy thinking that somebody was going to do something for nothing. Are you talking about pulling and all this stuff for what? Over a car? Right. And the fact that I yelled over there and told him, I'm proud of you, you got it. Whatever. I didn't even know couldn't see who he was at first. But that's the insanity, the psychological stuff that Sister Bent is talking about that we live in. You immediately want to go rogue without even understanding that somebody was giving somebody a compliment. Right.
No, I agree with you. But that's how we've been. That letter, that's why if you don't think that person, that letter's showing you, that thought is living.
Yeah. Today. Yeah. So we even see this, right, in this past election where people were clamoring for one side. Mm-hmm. And then you had the other side that people didn't want to win. but the other side wanted that person to win anyway.
You
And
right.
then so but at the end of the day, we don't have no friends. What you worried about?
Facts. We hooping and hollering like we gonna make a difference. No, we gotta, like you say, at the end they got who they wanted in,
Yeah, they got who they wanted in,
and that's who's gonna get in.
and that's what that was already forecast,
Yeah.
regardless of whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now what?
And then we can, hey, we gotta roll with what's going on. You're right about that. You're
Yeah.
right about that.
Yeah. You're right, brother Chris. You work with young men and women that expect something for nothing. But so where did that come from? That's looking at all of these reality shows and hip hoppers and YouTubers and all of these people who do dumb stuff, do dumb stuff for likes. That is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh, I'm gonna fall off the building and see if you like it.
Remember the movie? I mean, with MTV Jackass.
Yes,
But see, that's what.
but see, they can get away with that.
Yeah.
They can get away with that. No, really, what happened is the idol worship came when they started MTV Cribs, and they
Right.
would put all of these people up there without them telling you how much they had to sacrifice in order to get a house. So I'm making a video on the boat, not knowing that I'm having to pay $100,000 an hour to rent the boat, and it's a 320-foot yacht. And I got all of these people on here that have to pay as well to make a video.
I mean, but that's how I think. I think that's how they get us caught up. It's the lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that, you know what I'm saying, and I get what the sister's saying, like with the idol worshiping, because it's sort of a way it has become. I mean, however this thing gonna go, it was gonna roll, whether we cast our vote or not.
And whether she won or not. Because it's going to be bad when he walks in. Yeah. But it would have been worse, I think, if she had, because you're going to have everybody in uproar.
Yeah.
And again, we have no friends. So as long as I can identify, you better walk around with a flag to say friend, because not.
You're telling the truth. She would have got in there.
Yeah, it would have still been bad.
It was going to get worse.
It was still going to be bad.
It was going to be backlash.
Yeah. So either way.
Yeah.
And I don't think people, and listen, people, oh, she was more qualified. All of that. That's not who people wanted. Mm-hmm. No matter what. That's not who people wanted. So they picked and put in the person that they wanted to be in there.
Yeah.
What you mad for?
Yeah. That's what I was saying when I see my uncle was having a conversation today. He an older guy. Uncle, he in the 70s. And he was like, and I get it, but I also kind of looked, I'm like, you know, sometimes what he was saying was true because he didn't live long enough. And like he told me, he said, man, it's going to be bad. But I was still, like I was telling him, and we was having a conversation, I said, but America was never going to let a woman president.
It wouldn't matter whether it was Hillary. Yeah. It wouldn't matter whether it was Kamala. It wouldn't matter whether it was Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. Yeah. It didn't matter. That wasn't going to happen. It was enough that we had a black man in recent times that we let in, but he was a good old boy. Come on.
And that's something my uncle said. He said, you got the good old boys, and then you got the bad boys. Trump is a bad boy.
Yeah.
He said the good old boys, you know, they give you, but he a bad boy.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And I think, we go, like I said, at the end of the day, we've been here, we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
At the regardless. So it was like I didn't want really, like my only big thing was with this election, with her losing, I didn't want what the Democrats always do. When they don't win, they go blaming the blacks. We didn't get out the vote. That was my only thing.
But blacks have been blamed for everything since we were brought over here to be used as chattel.
Yeah, that was my only thing. Which it ended up happening anyway.
It's going to happen anyway. Who you going to blame? You always going to blame that. You always gonna black men gotta better go out and support her. And that what 82% black men did.
Yeah.
But if you are the smaller number of population,
Yeah.
that math don't math.
No.
If you are the smaller 13% of the population, not gonna beat 70%.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't look at numbers in. But how we lead in most incarcerated, high blood pressure,
All of that.
death,
Everything.
every disease that it is, we damn near got it.
Yeah.
We leading in this and we only 13%.
Right.
It's crazy.
But propaganda.
Yeah.
Same stuff we was talking about a few minutes ago. It's propaganda.
Yeah.
It's propaganda.
Yeah.
Well, if you make sure that they don't go to school,
yeah,
you ain't, and now unfortunately our young women are following the same thing.
Yeah.
And this and again, unfortunately, this part's got to play out unless we decide to understand that we have no friends, and that we have to stand on rules and principles like my aunt that says you get it together.
Don't forget to have that this Sunday. Make sure I get.
I would make sure. I would definitely
this Sunday,
make sure.
Because like I said, we were doing this because I was out of town. But no, we need that because I want them to see it.
Yeah.
With the 10 Commandments.
Yeah.
Because it's better when you can show it to them.
Yeah, right.
They won't act like that. Like I said, I heard people that letter. That letter is true because all you gotta do is walk outside. All you do is turn on the TV.
The young man, and then there was a woman in the office who looked like she was scared of me. And when I spoke, she stiffened up. Baby, I'm not gonna hurt you.
Facts.
But this is the conditioning, psychological, that we have with each other. Now, if I was a white boy, she'd have been straight. She wouldn't have said a word. She would have relaxed. She wouldn't have clutched her purse or whatever she didn't do. She stiffened up and walked back. All of that. And for what though? Because if I was going to do something, there was nothing you are going to do. That's not what I am. I'm a defender. Right. I'm a watcher. That's not what I do.
Facts. No, you're right.
You'd have been. I was making sure. I didn't know where the young kid was, or if he was with her. And if he was with her, then you should have been with her at the door instead of with her at the front door waiting to go out.
Right.
Because if somebody comes in behind me and I don't know who they are, where they're going, especially as dark as it's getting, I'm watching out for you.
Facts.
Whether you understand it or not.
No, that's facts.
Meanwhile, you're looking at me like I'm a person that you should be scared of.
I know.
Because you don't know me, and I get that.
That's how we is with each other.
But that's how we are with each other. You're right.
It's crazy. Yeah.
One last comment, then we're going to get out of here.
Yeah,
6 o'clock. It's time for you to eat.
Yeah.
At Meyer on Center Road last summer, there's a young lady with babies. Like they were less than 5 or 6. Putting her kids in the car, putting a load of groceries in the car. I asked her if she needed any help. She said no. But further down, there's this dude tripping out. White guy tripping out. I don't know what his issue was. And I stop and watch just to make sure, because he was tearing up stuff and banging on the car and tearing the stuff up and just kind of whatever he was going through. He was being loud and boisterous. So I stopped, pushed my car by my truck, left it there, and just watched to make sure that he didn't decide to flip out and try and attack her and her children.
Gotcha.
He's getting louder and more boisterous. Meanwhile, one of her kids was loud enough. And he looked at me and said, "Mama, that man's watching." And I pointed, when she looked at me, she started to hurry up. And I was like, "No, I'm watching him." She didn't say anything back. Just hurry up and put her stuff in the car. And when she pulled off, she watched me. What are you watching me for? The issue that I'm concerned with is down the aisle, 5 or 6 cars from you. And when you didn't accept, and that's cool, you didn't accept no help from me, helping you put stuff in your car. But you got 3 little kids by yourself. It's 10 o'clock at night. You don't have a man around you, or at least another sister, another person around you
That
to
can
help
help.
you.
Facts.
I don't want anything from you. I speak to you in the store. Your kids speak to me in the store, like most little kids do. You know, hey,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. And you worried about me and not paying attention to a potential situation that's 5 or 6 cars from you. Because I'm watching to make sure he doesn't stop
Right.
and attack you and your children. And I'm clear probably that you don't have anything on you because you got little kids.
Fact.
No pepper spray, minimally. Definitely not something heavier, just in case.
Right.
But that's the psychological conditioning that don't trust anybody. That's what he says at the end. Make sure they don't trust each other. And you keep the system up to make sure you don't trust each other.
Facts.
So over and over and over again, you continue to perpetuate it. And it might last 300 years, but it definitely can last thousands.
And we already over 400.
And we already over 400. We're already over 400. So the 1712, and we at 2024. That's 312 years.
Mm.
And it's not a hard stop.
Mm-mm.
If you show me that I can't trust you, then it's okay. I'm cool. I'm not gonna dog you out. Just you're not part of my circle yet.
Facts.
But if I teach you the reason why, and then you don't accept it, then you can never be part of my circle.
I understand them.
And that's okay. Now, that doesn't mean 6 months, a year from now, you may pick it again. You know what, big bro? I get it. My fault.
Facts.
Then I'm gonna give you the opportunity to be family.
Right.
That don't mean I'm not gonna watch you for a while until I see that I don't have to watch you.
Yeah, all things.
Right. Because you just may really have understood what we was talking about. You go like, you know what? I get it. My fault.
Right.
Let me show you better than I can tell you.
Facts.
But we have to do that for people. It's like we go to a black restaurant and they don't serve us like we figure we supposed, like serve us like we in a white restaurant, because that's really all it is.
Yeah.
Then we get mad and don't go back. They go out of business.
Yeah.
Oh, their service is bad. Food was good, but service is bad, and blah, blah, blah. This, that, and other. Hey, how about if you go and you see the server and the server's not having a good day? Hey, baby, come here. What's the problem? You okay?
Right.
I'm having a bad day. Okay. Take a breath. You can do that I don't care nothing about having a weight. Do that as a human, H-U-E, as a human. Yeah. Do it as I'm having a bad day.
You're right about that. Got a point.
Then guess what? The next time when she come back, you come back. I want babe girl over here. No, I'm waiting on her. She'll be straight.
Facts.
Because you've given her something different.
Right.
Right. I'm not saying that the weight of racism on black women isn't there.
Right.
What I'm saying is different. They don't have $10 billion for black men at Goldman Sachs for black women. I know.
Yeah, I hear it coming through the door, yeah.
Okay. Thank y'all very much. We appreciate y'all showing up here on a Tuesday night. We'll be back Sunday at 1:30.
Facts.
Because, Big Bro just had some business, family business to take care of. And so we'll be Sunday 1:30.
Peace.
Same time, same channel. Peace.
And you get it twice this week. I said they get you twice this week.
They give me twice. Oh, twice. See. Next week we going in hard on this other stuff.
Yeah. Peace, family.
All right, fam. Peace. Thank you.
Yeah, we coming right back.